Everybody, welcome to another Around the Lens interview. I'm your host, David J. Murphy. Joining me this week is Amanda Richards, and we'll be discussing her new film, Whiskey Dixie and the Big Wet Country. Amanda, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Dave. I'm excited to be here.
Hey, excited to have you. I got to watch this film, and let me tell you, it was not what I expected. But again, I kind of go into these things blind, so I never know what to expect. But this definitely took me by surprise. Why don't you go ahead and give our audience kind of a short synopsis of the film, what it's all about, and kind of where your background is.
Okay. Well, it's a very raunchy outlaw country musical. The majority of it takes place in a dive bar in the do I need to be censor my language here, or can I be
You can be. I wouldn't say go as raunchy as the film did in terms of your explicitness, but you can say curse words. That's fine.
I can say curse words. Okay, so it's in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, basically. Yeah. And so
literally, that's actually in the you literally identify it as being from there.
Yeah. And the lead in it, Whiskey, is a aspiring singer who's kind of just stuck in this podunk town, and she has always wanted to get out there and see herself in the bright lights of Nashville, and she goes to leave and ends up getting arrested for masturbating while driving. And it gets filmed, and she has to decide whether or not she's gonna capitalize on this new viral sensation and use that to launch her music career, or not. And
right.
The movie is really a kind of an ensemble piece, lots of different songs, and it's funny at its heart, but there is a lot of truth and storytelling to it. But most of it's things you might encounter in a dive bar in rural America.
Yeah,
and,
right.
Yeah.
Cool, awesome. So obviously you wrote, directed, and acted in the film. You played the lead role of Whiskey Williams, correct?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. How was that for you to kind of balance all those roles? I mean, I imagine you also wrote the songs because you performed the songs, correct?
Yeah. Well, it kind of started out, I wrote it because I had a collection of all of these really raunchy country songs that I would kind of sing at the end of the night in different various venues and dive bars that I was playing at, just kind of as a way to win over local clientele. And I needed to build a home for these songs, and so I put them in the film as an ensemble piece, and then ended up kind of creating a story through line for Whiskey in it, and used a little bit of my own familiarity with being a musician that never really could just quite get there. And it was a trip to do all of these things, because I never set out to direct. I didn't, when I produced it as a play, I had never produced a play before. I had done some rock opera stuff.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of firsts in this, including, it was the first time I ever wrote a script, a screenplay, really. So there's been a lot of learning and growth through the whole process. I was lucky enough to perform this as a stage play first, so we had a pretty killer ensemble cast that we were able to make the film with, and I had a lot of respect and trust from that cast to put this forward. And it's I could go on. There's been a lot of learning involved, that's for sure.
No, that's really neat to see kind of how it evolved from this screenplay to a stage to now obviously the movie. And in sort of the generation, and also kind of how it metamorphosized, did it change a lot from its stage play performance to the screenplay?
Yeah, so originally it was about a 3-hour play. Um, yeah, and part of that was there were some scenes that were cut, but we also had to I had not factored in holding for laughs, and I didn't know how long that would take. And so we
Hmm.
would be performing this show and then just have to stand there while people caught their breaths so that we
Hmm.
could speak over the top of the laughter and the screaming. So
Right.
but yeah, there were definitely things that you can do on stage that are harder to pull off on a low budget film, fantasy wise, and then there are things that you can do with film that you could never do on stage. So I would say both they're uniquely their own. There are elements that are in the film that are I miss from the stage play, and there are new things in the film that we could have never done in the play. So
Yeah, absolutely.
it's
So you're pretty successful with the play. You did 20 sold out performances, which is awesome.
Mhm, mhm.
Was there a reason why you stopped doing the musical and decided to start, making into a movie? What was kind of the impetus there?
So we the reason we ended up making a movie is because we tried to put it up again as a
Okay.
play. And so we were running it in Portland, Oregon, and the first time we ran it was at this theater called the Imago Theater, and we were lucky enough to be able to run our own bar there.
Oh, nice.
And so we would serve custom cocktails, pussy fart spritzer, and we had like 3 or 4 selection of cocktails that actually were designed by someone who ended up going on to being like voted the best bartender in Portland several years in a row.
Wow.
Yeah, that Xanderella made it, and but part of the reason we were able to pull off these shows as long as we did was because part of our funding was coming through alcohol sales.
Oh, right.
And
Sure.
yeah, and so even, doing one performance, if we're paying the cast and the crew, it's costing around $1,700 a show to do, and we were making, money off of ticket sales and stuff too. But the reason
Right.
it was successful too was because we were able to capitalize on some of that. So we wanted
Sure.
to do the play again in a few different locations, but no one else would let us keep our bar sales or even a percentage of it. And so I actually looked into and created a whole business plan around starting a theater,
Oh, wow.
and just so that we could put Whiskey Dixie up again. And I did all the business plan and the math on it, and I was like, I can make this work, but I cannot make it a good idea. And so
Right.
I went to my investor, my executive producer on this, and I said, I can pull it off, but um it's going to be tight, and I don't think it's a good idea. And if we're going to waste a bunch of money, why not make a movie?
There you go.
And Ryan Bell
Said
was just
everyone ever who ever made an indie film, pretty much. Yeah.
and he was like, okay, let's do it. So I got really lucky that way. But there was a lot of trust built between he and I during the making of the stage play too. And so I think that was why we were able to go on and make the film too, was building
Yeah.
that relationship. So
Sure, and absolutely. And I think, just from an investor's perspective, it's a lot easier to take a winning property and translate that to another format versus taking
mhm.
something that had, had no backing or no background and try to get funding or backing to help make that a film because you had the play and because it had been successful. That's probably what enabled you to make the film, I imagine.
Yeah, and I mean, the whole experience really has been, you know, uh, it's been kind of a joke that's been taken too far. Just keeps
Sure.
keeps escalating. And Ryan, my executive producer, has a great sense of humor, and just has wanted to just have this be out in the world.
Sure, absolutely. That's my own feelings as a filmmaker as well. Whenever I have an
Mhm.
idea, I just want to make it happen, make it real.
Yeah.
It's funny is your film opens with this incident with the masturbation while driving, and my first ever short film centers around a character who masturbates while driving. So
Oh,
there's there's
fantastic.
there's a kinship there. But yeah,
Oh,
it was a little short film I made, and to funny effect. I'll send you a link to it. You can let me know what you
What
think.
were you starring in it as well?
No, I was just
Oh,
the filmmaker.
just a filmmaker.
Well, it was
Wow.
very small. It was like I needed somebody to drive the
Mm,
car and
mm-hmm,
do the deed, and I
mm-hmm.
need to film, so I just hired some actors and made it happen. But yeah, that was a fun little thing, and it's interesting to see it from the other perspective on the other side, on the female side. But yeah, it's interesting how you kind of molded that into its own basic thing. Um, Talk to me a little bit about kind of the songwriting process. You got a lot of songs here, and it's a lot of different variety. Like you have obviously country, but you also have kind of almost like rap battle, in there. And there's a lot of songs as well. So, obviously you wrote this in 2017, but you also
Mm-hmm.
said that these were made up songs that you kind of had been pondering over the course of your career. So, did you write all the songs at the right time or the same time for this film, or again, were they built up over time?
So it's a combination of both. So some of the songs were written specifically for the film, and but I would say majority of them had been written ahead of time before they were woven into the storyline. And so the rap battle, for example, I probably wrote about 20 years ago, and
Oh
I
my
have
gosh. Wow.
absolutely nowhere or reason to perform that.
Right.
And it was just, at the time I just wrote the raunchiest, nastiest rap song that I still think pretty, for the time too, when I did write it, was very, very, very raunchy. And now it's, this was way before WAP, so um
Still, you
but
go pretty far. I mean, you you
mm,
you you dig into you like the whole time. I'm thinking like I got to take a shower after watching this. It's so disgusting in many ways. But again, you lean into it, you own it, right? And that's
mm,
you touch on a lot of things. STDs are a common topic within the course of the film. So
mhm,
you don't hold anything back. And I wonder from a marketing perspective, obviously this is going to be premiering, I believe,
mhm,
at the Raindance Film Festival on June 24th,
mhm.
and again on June 25th. But what are kind of your long-term plans? Do you have a distribution deal already for this film? Because it's a tough, and I just know from making films myself, it's tough to find the audience for this, at least on wider markets. So I'm curious,
Mhm.
what's kind of your marketing plan for the film, if you have one?
I don't have one.
Okay.
I have been premiering it in small markets. This is our first premiere in the UK. And I have been approached by many distributors, actually. Before I even had the film edited,
Oh, wow.
I'd taken it to the American film market, and I had 8 distribution offers there before it was even finished.
That's amazing.
Um, and I talked to many distributors with the interest in it. Um, I have not found anything so far that is compelling to me.
Sure.
Um, it, I want to put it out there, but I also, I don't want to sound too cynical, but it seems like a lot of these companies can be very like predatory
Sure.
to indie filmmakers,
Absolutely.
and there's this thing that happens where they will buy a film to put in their catalog, and then the catalog gets sold or shelved and it does nothing. And so my
Right.
fear is that I sign away, distribution rights to this and it does nothing. And I've it's taken a little while to get to where we are.
Yeah.
We've done quite a few smaller festivals. We've got a lot of recognition, and Raindance is, this is, the bigger of the festivals that we've done.
Right.
So I don't know, this whole process of filmmaking, I didn't really know what I was doing when I started out. It's just been one foot in front of the other, not seeing the path clearly.
Sure.
And I would say that my, you know, post-production distribution process is similar, where I'm trusting the process, and then I'm also using, logic and discernment to say, okay, well, I think this is a good path or not. Worst comes to worst, I'm going to, put it on VHS and bury it next to the Hollywood sign for future generations to discover.
There you go. That is a plan. That is a thing you could do. That is a
Yeah.
decision.
Which I feel like in some cases might be better than some of the potential
Yeah, right.
distribution scenarios. I'm open, but right now, this feels like something that needs to be experienced in the theater first.
Sure.
So we're doing festivals. I'm open to distribution, but if we need to four-wall it and use an aggregator, then that might be what we do too. So
Yeah,
we'll
no,
see what
absolutely.
happens.
Indeed. And again, as you were talking, I was thinking about films or content that is similar to this, and the one thing that popped into mind was the show My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Because obviously it's a musical show and they deal with a lot of raunchy topics at times, and sex, and the anatomy and body parts and stuff like that. So that's kind of like what this film reminded me of. And so I think if you kind of take it down that road, that there could be a lot of opportunity there, either by within this film in of itself, or the character, and like expanding the character, because I think dive bar, the character that you've created, Whiskey Williams, I think there's a lot of opportunity there to kind of tell different stories around that ensemble.
Absolutely. Well, and there was so much material that was cut out of the script too, that I mean, it really probably could have been a series. It is a long film, and yeah, there's a lot of material that could be mined from it too. I also, I have a bit of a pilot for would be like a series based off of the making of this, called #NotAPorno, about making a film like this in a small town, just because the whole experience of doing this, there's so much drama, and it was so much fun too. So
well, I mean, speaking of drama and whatnot, I think the subject matter is very adult, and you have a lot of adult situations within the film, a lot of like simulated sex scenes and whatnot. And I'm curious, I mean, this was a SAG production, so did you have to have a intimacy coordinator, and were any of the actors or anyone like maybe saying like this is too far in terms of the content of anything?
So it is SAG. We did have an intimacy coordinator. I don't know that we had to have one, that they were still pretty new at the time. I brought one in for myself because directing this was like, I want there to be somebody else that another actor can appeal to besides myself directing as sex scene.
Power differential there, right?
And then also I'm, not going to be able to see what's happening while we're doing that. So I want to make sure that somebody else has their eyes on it, positioning, talking through, and the other actors involved, I can't speak for them.
Sure.
If they felt like it had gone too far, but I will say what you see on the screen is relatively tame compared to what was in the play.
Oh, really? Wow. Interesting.
I mean, we actually, some of it was like inferred. There would be like a blackout and there'd be noises and stuff like that. But to me, like the play was a lot more intense.
Right.
Whereas like this, between takes, you can pause, you can, get your shit together.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, obviously no one would have signed up for this production without having read the script, I would imagine. So they knew they should know what they were getting into.
Well,
so
both of the actors involved, Matt Kimmerly and John Brunner, like they were original cast in the play too. So we had done those scenes a lot before. Similarly, it was different blocking, and in the play, Matt Kimmerly actually wore a very large strap on underneath his clothes.
Oh my God.
So yeah, there were some gags that we did in the play that I'm like, they were really funny, but I wanted to play the stuff a lot, a lot straighter, a lot more serious, and just play it truthfully.
Right. Absolutely. So when did you film this?
We were in principal photography in September of 2019. So it was a while ago.
Yeah. But like, then did it take that long to get it finished and edited, or was it kind of finished and just sitting waiting for its release, so to speak?
So it got edited and we were in post-production with sound and color right before COVID happened. And
Okay.
so it was ready, and then 2020 hit, and it
Yeah.
was like, okay, let's just sit on this for a little bit. Tiger King was really big though, and I'm like, oh, there could be an audience for this. And
Mhm.
but what ended up happening was we ended up re-editing it again.
Okay.
And so redoing quite a few things. And part of that was, because of how, low budget it had been,
Sure.
I had edited the film myself because we ran out of money. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna learn how to edit now. And I was able to get some budget together for editing and color again, and it's been a little bit of a piecemeal process,
Hmm.
to stop and raise money and then go back
Sure.
to it. So it's been, like, I would say done since we had a US world premiere for it in June of 2024. And then we started doing festivals, and then it's like, okay, well, once you're doing festivals, you can't really release it until you're done.
Right. Pretty
Um,
much. Yeah.
yeah, so it's been a bit of a process. I will say I did get pregnant and I had a kid. And that's he's almost 3 now, so
Wow.
there's, and I had a
Congratulations.
thank you very much. But I had a very horrible pregnancy too with the hyperemesis.
Oh,
Um,
jeez. Yeah.
and so it was just sick the entire time. So there wasn't anything getting done then. And then,
Yeah.
do you have children?
Yeah. Two boys.
2 boys. So you know how hard it can be with the babies to get anything
Yeah, they're a
done.
handful for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, thankfully, I've got my wife and she helps out obviously a huge ton. And obviously my ability to do things is partially because she's here, taking care of the kids and stuff like that. And, she
Yeah.
works a full-time job as well. So, that can't be easy, but
Mhm.
yeah, kids, they're great. So you have the one child.
Just
And
one, yep. But he's a handful, and he's here in London with me, and my husband's here, and I wouldn't be able to do this without him watching him too. So,
absolutely. So you're in London now for the festival, right?
yep.
Where do you live full time? Is it LA?
No, I actually live in a pretty rural little town, about an hour outside of Portland. So I'm in
Oh, okay.
Washington, and I've got a small studio and music venue there that just right now is very private. I'm mostly making, like, music videos and short film, and I'm in development for a couple of features.
Oh,
But
very cool.
yeah, it's a great little community, and we're just kind of hiding out right now.
Yeah, no, it's great. So you got this as well as a bunch of other things that you're working on. So that's great. Um, what was kind of one of the biggest challenges you faced in filming this movie, and how'd you overcome it?
Well, with indie film, I would say the biggest challenge was, funding,
Right, of
and
course.
working with what you have for a ultra low budget. And I overcame some of that by halfway through production, um, going on one of the few days off that we had, going out to the ocean and screaming at the ocean for 3 or 4 hours,
Oh, good. Yeah, that's
at the
effective.
at the at the universe. You know, let's get this show going. And
Hmm.
the universe answered, and we pushed through. And but yeah, I would say, obviously funding is one of the hardest parts of it.
Sure.
For me, I didn't know a lot of what I was doing going into it. I, read some books, and I talked to every director I could,
Yeah.
get to have lunch with me. And um
Well,
so
on
I
that
was I
point,
was
I mean, on that point, was there ever a point where you thought maybe I should let someone else direct so that I can just
Well,
focus on the acting, or was that just not feasible
absolutely.
because of the budget?
No, absolutely. That was the intention the whole time. It's like, but we got this thing started, and I was a producer on it, and I'm acting in it, and we're like, okay, we're setting the dates now, or we've got the thing cast, we've got all these balls in the air, and things are in
Hmm.
motion, and as we're getting closer and closer to the dates, the people that I had been considering for directing, it just was becoming more apparent to me that um, I was likely going to need to step in and tell
Sure.
this story because um, it is very raunchy and it is very funny, but there's a lot of truth to it, and it
Sure.
really needed to be told from the female voice.
Right. Okay.
And some of the guys I talked to, like, they got it, and there were women directors that I was talking to too, but they were really playing toward the comedy of it. The material is funny on its own. You don't have to push it.
Yeah.
You don't, and I'd had a lot of experience in working with actors, and just I took an acting class randomly, a few years before because I had not to get too dark, but I had some PTSD. I was living
Oh,
in Guatemala City. I had been
wow.
robbed at gunpoint like
Oh
three
my God.
times in like 8 months of living there, and I became a recluse, and I just really had a lot of social anxiety. So I thought, well, I'll take some acting classes so that I can act like I'm having a good time
There you
around
go. Fake it till
people.
you make it.
Yeah, and what it actually ended up happening for me was I just became a lot more comfortable in my own skin with my own vulnerabilities, and got really attuned to other actors as well, like going through their process, and so I felt confident that I could direct actors. I just didn't know a whole lot about filmmaking itself.
Sure. Yeah, I
So,
mean, this was your course, right? This was your film
yeah.
school.
This was my film school.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Overall, was the filming pretty smooth though in general? I mean, once you got started, or was there any
Oh
like
yeah,
major hiccups?
it was, I would say, surprisingly smooth. Part of the reason for that though was I think that I had a lot of day-to-day adaptability. Like, I had my shot lists and my wish lists of things, but at the end of the day I knew what our budget constraints were.
Right.
I knew, like, we had to make our days. Like, this, if we didn't do it, then like it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of like adapting in the moment on the fly and working
Sure.
with what we had, and getting all these beautiful little gifts from the universe too. Like, there was so many serendipitous things that had happened that it just ended up being so beneficial to the production, from the use of the um, convertible in the beginning that actually
Okay.
belonged to the father-in-law of the tavern owner where
Mhm.
we were leased renting.
Yeah.
And it, I couldn't have picked a better vehicle. It was an accidental homage to Elvira, you know?
Right.
And um, we're just great production value on that. Like, our grip team, I met while I was standing in line buying the camera for the film,
Oh my gosh.
and we could only afford them for 2 days.
Really?
And they volunteered the rest of the time because they were having such a good time on
Oh my
set.
goodness, that's
But yeah,
awesome.
we could only really afford for some of the trailer shots on the car, and then we did those early on, and they were like, we're gonna
Mhm.
the food's okay. You guys are a lot of fun. We're gonna stick around. So
Oh,
it
that's
was,
nice.
yeah, we had a great time. No, it was a great scene, and I think it attracted a lot of folks that just wanted to be a part of it because of it was like a circus.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
What talk to me? So you mentioned the camera. What'd you shoot on?
It was a Black Magic Pocket 4K.
Wow. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And how many days did you shoot for?
I want to say 21
Okay.
principal, and then maybe 3 or 4 pickup days.
Wow. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a full shoot right there.
Hmm.
Awesome. Great. Well, any sort of lessons learned or things you do again or do differently on your next feature? Because I know you said you've got some features you're working on.
Oh yeah, so many lessons were learned, and a lot of stuff I learned just in post-production after editing a film, like, oh, uh, not necessarily needing to have so many takes of like the different. I didn't go to film school, so
Right.
we filmed probably more coverage than we needed,
Sure.
and maybe from not enough angles, but
Right. Yeah.
uh, um, I think that I would choose my shots a lot more deliberately and be a lot more uh conservative with the use of film. Like right now, we're shooting in 6K and it takes up so much space.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sit and watch that much footage of the same thing over and over again. I mean,
Right.
sometimes you need to, but I would um there's some massive hard drives of like we could re-edit this film a few times and it'd be a totally different
Right.
film,
Sure. Yeah.
so
No, I
I
think that's a common thing with, first time filmmakers especially, but even I'd say more established filmmakers, right? It's you never know
Mhm,
what you're going to get or what you need, so sometimes it's good to have extra coverage. I mean, I'll be honest, I've edited my own film, and I think in certain instances I got more than I needed. In other instances, I kind of didn't get enough, and so I'm kind of
mhm,
stuck with what we could get in the time frame. But that was more like we were running out of time and I needed to shoot a scene.
mhm,
And I'm like, oh my God,
yeah,
just shoot it and we'll do two takes and we'll get the one angle. Like there were quite a few scenes where I didn't get the coverage I wanted because we ran out of time. So I had to
mhm,
convert this like multi-coverage shot with like multiple setups into one shot with one
mhm,
framing. But no, I get your point about shooting more deliberately. And I think that's a definitely a skill that takes a good degree of confidence in yourself as a filmmaker to be able to do that, to know that, okay, I'm just going to get this line read from this one angle and say that's what I'm comfortable with versus, doing your over, multiple different shots of coverage of that same line read from different angles. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that's something we all learn and good that you recognize that. And I'm sure you'll be, again, that much more prepared when you do your next film. Which, by the
well,
way, when can we expect from you in the future? Like
I've got
you said you're
a
working on some stuff. So yeah,
yeah, I have a music video that should be out any day now, and I don't plan to film any features until next summer. Just I'm waiting for my boy to be a little bit older. He's
right.
almost 3, so
Oh, yeah,
once he can be away from me a bit more. So and when I get back home mid-July, I'm working on a kind of another short film music video, and that'll probably be out pretty soon. I don't know that I'll do a whole bunch of festivals with them
right.
again, so just because it's so time consuming, it'd be
Oh
nice
yeah,
to put some
absolutely.
things out. Yeah.
And in these other projects you're doing, are you also singing, directing, and writing?
Yes and no. So the last one that we just did was a music video for my band, The Good Long Whiles. And so I directed the film. It is there's a story in it that does not involve me at all, and then there's a couple of shots of me and the band kind of dressed up, but we're not part of the main storyline. So
Right.
it's a lot more it's a lot more fun for me to be behind the camera than in front of it.
Okay. Cool. There you go. Maybe that's your calling, right?
Yeah, it may be. I've
Awesome.
enjoyed it a lot. Mm.
Well, Amanda, thank you so much for taking time out to chat with me today. Good luck on the Rain Dance Festival. I hope you get a great turnout for that. Before I say goodbye, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Oh gosh. I'm not even really sure at the point, and this is one of those things I could just talk for hours about. So, um,
Well, in general, is
yeah,
there any place you'd like to direct people toward, like a call to action or a website or your YouTube channel?
yeah, we got a website. It's a whiskeydixiemovie.com. You can find us on the social medias. I think Whiskey Dixie Movies the way to go, and um, on any of the Meta, Facebook, TikTok stuff. And then I'm on there too, Amanda Richards, and I'm doing a lot of stuff with my band and just making things happen. So if anything, we could be friends.
Awesome. There we go. Great. Well, again, thank you, Amanda, so much for your time. The film is Whiskey Dixie, and it'll be at the Rain Dance Festival. So everybody go check that out. And oh my God, my camera.
Oh.
My son's calling me. I got to go to him, but let me do my outro one more time. All right, everybody. Well, that's been our interview with Amanda from Whiskey Dixie. Thank you so much, Amanda, for your time. I wish you the best of luck with your film, and hope to hear from you again in the future.